Hello and welcome to another edition of Fangirl Thursday. I am super excited for tonight's episode. We are continuing with our spectacular reads. We are wrapping those up with none other than the unofficial, but my official, Queen of Horror, Kelly Martin. Yay! I have prepared this lovely little intro that I actually shared on my blog. So if you guys want to head over afterwards and take a look at that, I'm going to make sure that I share that for you over in the comments as well. If you are joining us on my personal page, despite the fact that Be Live will live stream to both my Two Girls in a Book page and my personal Facebook page, 9 times out of 10, if you are on that personal page and you are commenting or posting or adding questions or anything like that for us, we're not going to see them in real time, but at the end of the show, before Kelly leaves us, I will pop back over there, stroll through those comments, and make sure we don't miss anything from you guys. But if you want to make sure that your questions are seen and your comments are seen, then do all of that from the Two Girls in a Book page rather than my personal Facebook page. Also, some of you chimed in and wanted to know how you could find out when I'm live. I do post promos all throughout the week to let you guys know. But if you hit that little notification bell that you should see below the video, that will put a notification in with Facebook settings, and they will give you a notification. They will let you know anytime I go live at all, which is normally on Thursdays, but occasionally I do a little unboxing here or there. Now, we've taken care of all the housekeeping. Back to this spectacular intro I had prepared. I am super excited to have Kelly Martin join us tonight. She is a quiet Southern Christian gal who writes terrifying tales that will scare the bejesus out of you. It is not really a description that one would expect to go together, but that's our sweet Kelly in a nutshell. You wouldn't know it to look at her, but she loves discovering old abandoned houses with her hubby and has been known to visit the infamous Waverly Hills Sanitorium. It is also rumored that Kelly lives in a haunted house as well. Well, I haven't officially met Kelly in person. She is one of my besties. She just doesn't know it yet. She is amazeballs, and I consider her a mentor. Her books have won awards, and she was the keynote speaker recently at this year's virtual Books and Booze. For this and so much more, she is my queen of horror. So excited.
Oh my gosh!
Hello. Hello. I'm so excited to have you on here.
That was
I threw that together today.
Oh my goodness. Hello.
I am so glad to have you on here. We were supposed to see each other 3 times this year, and none of that has happened. So it sucks, but you're still my friend.
Well, thank you.
I'm your best friend. You just don't know it yet. I don't know how often you watch.
Yes, you are.
But I'm always telling people when I'm talking about your books, like, Kelly doesn't know it yet, but I'm her best friend. She's come out and told me.
Well, I appreciate it.
I love your books. You are amazing. I'm so excited to have you on here as I'm wrapping up my Halloween themed month in books. I've actually grabbed a few books based off of some of your recommendations.
Mm-hmm.
But tonight we're here to primarily talk about you, and I'm so excited to have you here and to talk books with you. Your hair's fine. Don't worry about it.
Oh, thank you.
Before we dive into the books, let's just talk a little bit about you. Why horror? Why did you decide to write in this genre? What about it appeals to you?
When I first started writing, I didn't start out writing horror. I wrote young adult Christian books, which is pretty much as far away from horror as you can get. But I got to noticing that all of my books have a horror element in it. On my very first book, one scene was taken inspired from it. And then one of the scariest things I've ever written is in a book called The Beast of Ravenson, which is not even out anymore. But it's a romance. It's not even horror either. So I was like, okay, I've just got to embrace it. It's in there. It needs to come out. So that's why I started into the horror genre. I think my first book came out, well, actually, it's in 2015 was my first paranormal. I think there's a fine line between paranormal and horror. So, well, paranormal can be horror, and then you can have some horror without paranormal elements. Anyway, you know all that. So yeah, it's been about 5 years actually since the rebrand happened. Wow, I can't believe it's been 5 years. That's crazy.
You've done a lot in 5 years, and I'm going to pop in really quick just to say a shout out to Mindy and to Jody who have joined us this evening, and I'm going to share this. Jody loves our accent.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, Jody. I appreciate it.
I get a hard time for mine, and whenever you and I come on and we do these shows together, afterwards Crystal's like, you don't say horror right. And I'm like, it's horror.
Horror. I was at a book convention either last year or the year before last, and we had this big conversation on how to say horror. They're like, if you go to write it, you're going to have to say it right. Horror.
It's hard.
It is. It's hard.
So thank you, Jody. That was, we needed a little more levity. That was cool. Do you remember what your first scary book was that you read? What horror book you read?
Actually, the first horror book I ever read was the first novel I ever read. When I was in 8th grade, I read Interview with a Vampire. Mm-hmm. And that was the very first novel, the very first horror novel I ever read. And I love that book. I love the movie. You can do the math, but I was in 8th grade when the Brad Pitt Tom Cruise movie came out. Mm-hmm. And I loved it. So, yeah, that was the first one. It's still one of my favorites. I want to reread it. I haven't read it in a long time. I want to reread it.
I have several of Anne Rice's books in paperback. I've read all of the Lestat novels. I have the last 2 that she came out with within the last 2 or 3 years. I have those actually in hardback, but I haven't read them yet. I went out and ordered one with her signature and everything in there, and I put it on the shelf, and that's where it stayed.
Wait, you don't want to open it and get the spine broke.
No.
That'd be sad.
I can open a book and read it without ever getting a crease in the spine.
Really?
Yes.
That's good. Pretty good. That is good. That's very good.
Actually, back when she came out with the new Lestat book, I was sharing and talking about it and following her on social media. And I know it's not actually her. It was somebody on her page. But anyway, the official Anne Rice page liked and followed 2 girls in a book. And I bet there was nobody in my county that didn't hear me when I ran out that yard screaming it because I was so excited.
That is so cool. There's never
been a comment made on my page or anything like that, but I was just over the moon excited that there was Anne Rice liked your page.
Oh my God! You need to screenshot that. I'm sure you have it.
I did. It's been shared on Facebook, so it's stuck in there somewhere.
Print it out and put it on your bookshelf.
Let's see what else. What writers influence you? Not necessarily horror, it can be anybody, but which writers influence you as a writer?
I always liked reading the Colleen Coble books, like years ago. That's what I used to read a lot of. And I liked hers because they were I'm not saying they're easy to read, but they were page turners is what I'm trying to say. It was page turners. It had some thriller elements to it, some whodunit, some romance, some, things like that. I love, there's a middle grade horror, now I'm self-conscious saying it, horror writer called, oh my gosh, I can't think of her name right now. Hold on.
Mary Downey Hung?
Yes, Mary Down and Han. I love Mary Down and Han. I could think of Mary and Han, and I couldn't think of Downing.
And I only know it because you have raved about her, and
I love her.
I own 2 of her books, and I've read one of them.
Yeah, I love Wait Till Helen Comes.
I haven't read that one.
I love that one. And there's one, The Girl in the Locked Room is so good. She still puts out books. Like the Helen book came out in the 80s, I think. But she has newer ones, and I think she puts out about one a year. I get real excited when there's a new Mary Down and Han book.
Too. Yes, she's a good one.
She's one of the reasons I started writing middle grade was because there it is. Middle grade was because of her, because I loved her books so much. So yeah, those are 2 big ones.
Who's on your shelf? Who's some of your favorites? What are some of your favorite books? Who's on your shelf that you want to share with us?
This is not a paranormal book, but I just read this one because I watched the movie. Did you watch it?
I watched your YouTube video on that. You raved about it.
I love this book, and I love the movie. It's The Devil All the Time by Donald Ray Pollock. I just really liked it. And I read this in 2 days, and I'm not a fast reader, but I read it in 2 days. And this is not a paranormal book either. Watch me pick all the non-paranormal books. I'll give you some paranormal books in a minute. I picked this up because I thought it was a paranormal book. I mean, look at the cover.
I love that cover.
Yeah, right. That's why I bought it, because I thought it was paranormal. It's not. If you've ever read Stalking Jack the Ripper, it's kind of like that one. There's a girl, and she lives in, I think, the late 1800s, 1900s, somewhere in there. And there's a murder, and she's trying to solve it, but she's not supposed to be solving it because, she's a girl. But yeah, I really like this. These 2 are probably my favorite non-paranormal books. I really like The Wicked Deep and Alone and The Chalk Man. The Chalk Man is a very short, kind of like It. It is terrifyingly, thick. This one is a lot like It, with flashbacks and everything. But I kind of actually like it better. So The Chalk Man's really good. Anna Dressed in Blood is really good.
Oh, read that one. That is good.
Have you read the second one?
I own it. I have not read it.
I don't even own it. I was like, I'm afraid to own it. Because I don't want it. And I wasn't really sure how you could continue it.
I love.
So I didn't read it.
I love going over to Book Outlet and scanning through the paranormal section, and I will buy books just based off of covers because they're dirt cheap on there. And oh my gosh, I have some on my shelf that I couldn't tell you anything about them, but the covers are really pretty.
Well, yeah. I mean, like The Teeth in the Mist, I follow Dawn on Instagram. I can't say her last name. It's Kurtajich. I always say it wrong. But I follow her on Instagram. She follows me, and sometimes she likes my posts, like you were saying. Oh my gosh! Yeah. So I got this, and I got another one of hers. She's really good too. And Kate Ellis, Harrow Lake, is awesome. I've never seen one like this. It's the last horror story she'll ever tell is her own, and it's actually true. Not the truth. The story's not true, but the fact that it's the last story she ever, I was like, okay, that's not really gonna happen, but it does. It's cool. I'm reading this one right now. I know you love this one.
Oh my gosh,
The Girl at the Hanging Tree. I know you love it. I'm about 125 pages into it. I'm really into it.
It's so different than my normal book because I'm a paranormal horror through and through.
Yeah.
I like the supernatural stuff. I throw in some cozies every now and then just to break things up. But even a lot of those now have a paranormal element to them as well. So her book was just so, under normal circumstances, it's not something I would have picked up. The cover would have intrigued me.
Yeah.
I would have flipped it over and went, yeah, that's too serious for me. But love Mary to death. So read it, and I mean, I flew through it in like 2 days.
Oh
And
yeah, I can say that I'm trying to take my time because I'm
Mhm.
really trying to. I think I'll be sad when it's over, so I'm trying to
yeah, because
kind of, get
yeah, the
into it
ending
all.
is yeah. It was one of those that everyone doesn't get a happy ending. So you're kind of
Yeah,
left with yeah. And it's a
and
heavy
it's
book.
good, and
Yeah.
so far it's
Yes.
really good.
It is good. I loved that she took elements. We have completely gotten off tangent, but I
I'm
love that she
sorry.
took elements.
You asked me.
She took elements, from real things as well, and in real stories, like about the bridge and everything.
Yeah.
Um, that was really cool to be able to Google the bridge and see
Mhm.
current photos of it and the area there today, and to also read that the story that she tells in her book is an actual story that's
Yeah.
known in the area about that bridge and everything. So that was really cool. I
Yeah.
like that a lot.
I did
She
too.
did a great job
I've
with
got
that book.
past. Yeah, I got to that part, and I was like, I know that because I saw it on Ghost Adventures, so I
Oh,
knew what
great.
that
Yeah.
was. It has some paranormal stuff to it. I mean, not the book, but kind of in a big grand
Yeah. Mhm.
scheme. Because I
Mhm.
knew about Goatman's Bridge
Mhm.
from Ghost Adventures. So
Love that show too.
yes.
Let's see. What are you currently reading besides The Girl at the Hanging Tree by Mary Gray?
I'm reading The Devil Crept In. I have a theme. The Devil Crept In. This one was recommended because I liked I liked the devil all the time. So they recommended this one. This is about a boy whose cousin went missing, and I'm not real sure exactly what's going on, but I'm reading this one. I've not got too far into it.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm reading a book. It's in another room. It's Local Haunts. It's a author tube. Author tube is a bunch of authors that are, it's kind of like YouTube for authors, but it's still
Mhm.
on YouTube. And there's Horror Tube, which is part of. Anyway, there's a bunch of Horror Tube authors who wrote a book. It's an anthology, and it's called Local Haunts.
Mhm.
And there's a author tuber called her name is on Typical Books. I think is her name. Her real name or her name is Lydia, and she has a story in it. So I got it, and I'm reading that. It's really good so far. It's supposed to be based on true stories that's happened in these local areas. So
Cool.
that's really good too. I like that
Awesome.
one. This one's good. I kind of got into Mary's book. I started reading this one
Mhm.
and I got into Mary's book and I was like, well, okay.
And
So
you
this
could
one's
read it.
been,
Yeah, you couldn't pick up anything else once you got involved in
no,
Mary's book.
no.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, who are your one-click authors? You know they've got a book coming out. You immediately pre-order, or you one-click the as soon as you find out about it. You don't care. You don't have to read the blurb or anything else. It's just so and so wrote a book today. Published a book today. I'm getting it. Who are those?
Mary Down in Hawn. CJ Tudor, who did the Chalk Man.
Mm-hmm.
Um, let's see. I'm trying to think of some indie people that I've been one clicking lately because I've been one clicking quite a few. Willow Marsh. I read that. Joe Cassidy is
Yeah.
a great writer. It's not indie, but that one was really good. And I think I'm going to start one clicking everything that she writes.
Have you read Good Girls Stay Quiet by her?
Yeah.
That was phenomenal too.
Was it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I usually I follow. I can't think of them right off the top of my head right now, but I'll find on Facebook that they've put out a book, and I'm like, yep,
Mm-hmm.
click that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you love horror, you love
Yes.
horror books, but how do you feel about horror movies?
I like horror movies. I don't like gore a whole lot.
Me
Like
either.
I'm not big into the bloody stuff. Now I say that. I love Nightmare on Elm Street. And
The first one is so good. Yes, it was on the other night, and I was watching it.
So good. And a New Nightmare, Wes Craven's New Nightmare is my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street movie. I think because of the meta stuff to it, like they're making a movie but not a movie. I love that movie.
That one's good.
I like Friday the 13th. I like the classic horror movies. Scream, which I don't think of as classic horror, but apparently somebody asked James Charles what his favorite classic horror movie was, and he said Scream, and I don't remember when Scream came out.
Exactly. I do too.
Yeah.
My favorite horror movie, and I watch it on repeat this time of the year, is the original Halloween from 1978, Michael Myers.
Yeah.
1 and 2 are my favorite. I like H2O when
I like H2O
when she's the dean or whatever of the school.
Yes. Yep.
That one, and then of course the one that came out, I want to say it was in 2018, where she has the daughter and the granddaughter.
I've not seen that one.
That one was good too.
Yeah, I've not seen that. I love, remember, if you hear laughing, it's my husband. You remember, in the late 90s and early 2000s, that big horror boom, Final Destination, and Final Destination 2. The second one's when they were behind the truck, I think, and I was behind. Every time I'm behind a log truck, I'm like, oh,
yes,
this bad thing is gonna happen. I love Final Destination. I like The Faculty and all those just movies that they kept coming out with back then. Kind of the corny. Some of them are cornier than others, but yeah, those are I like those. I've seen a few of the newer ones. I've seen Paranormal Activity, and I don't guess that's really a newer one. I've seen a few. I've not seen Us. I want to see Us. There's a bunch of them I want to see, but I hadn't watched them yet. So
yeah, my husband's not really big into that. So if I'm watching it and he's home, it needs to be during the daytime because he's not down with that. I remember when we were dating, we watched Wrong Turn, and
oh my God.
I sent him home afterwards, and he was like, "I slept with the lamp on."
Oh, that one's rough. Oh, that one's rough. I'm not really big into body horror. I don't like Saw. I like the idea of Saw. It's just the traps make me,
I've never watched it because I don't care for the blood and gore just for the sake of it.
Yeah.
Just for the shock value of it. That's not my thing.
I do think maybe I'll watch it this year just to say I watched it. So I've never seen it.
Conjuring. My favorite part is when they're playing the clap game.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Because that's a good jump scare,
Yes.
And that was really good. I've seen Annabelle. My husband will not watch it. He absolutely hates creepy dolls. We can just be watching something else on TV, and he's one of those that'll say, "You see that doll over there? It looks different." So
right. Yes, my family has the same issue with dolls. Yeah. No, yeah, I think I'm going to try to make it through. So I've seen the kill count. Have you ever seen Dead Meat? It's a YouTube channel, and they do it's kind of like Cinema Sins, except for horror movies, and they kind of give the whole plot, and it's funny, and they do synopsis and all that. And the through line is they count the kills. So they did the kill count for Saw. So I know what happened, so I need to watch it. They do it all. They've done a bunch of them. That's how I know about Wrong Turn. I've not seen it, but I watched the kill count, and I was like, oh, no. Oh gosh. But yeah, I love scary movies.
Yeah.
But I will say, the first scary movie I ever saw in a movie theater was It. And that was like 3 years ago. And I went with my sister. And have you seen It?
Mm-hmm.
You know that part where the projector screen just keeps, going and he like jumps out at him and like tries to eat him? That part, I'd seen it in the trailer. But then they started playing it, and the scene keeps going longer than it was in the trailer, and I just nearly took off and ran. But I felt better because there was these two big burly men in front of me, and they like tried to take off too, and I was like, okay, okay,
Not just me.
it's not just me. Yeah, I think it's fun to scare people. I don't know how fun it is to be scared. Like I won't go in haunted houses. Like jump scare Halloween haunted houses, I won't go in. I'll go in haunted houses, like real haunted houses all the time, like Waverly Hills or my house or whatever. I don't care going into that, but I don't like people jumping out at me.
Speaking
I
of
want to pay
Waverly,
somebody to jump out at me.
yes. Speaking of Waverly Hills, I know you've been because you did
Yes.
a whole YouTube video on that, which was awesome. And you talked about your experience and everything there. And you mentioned that they offer an overnight stay.
Mm-hmm.
Would you do an overnight stay?
Oh, yeah. We've been trying to get one together. There's a few of us that's been wanting to go back for an overnight. It's a 6-hour thing. They have the tours, and then I think from 11 to whatever 6 hours is after 11. Sorry. You can explore the whole building. You can go wherever you want to go. Because on the tour, the 2-hour tour, I mean, it's a 5-story building, so you get to see a lot. But you don't get to stay on the 3rd floor very long because of reasons. And then, you stay on different areas for different lengths of time. But yeah, I would love to do it. I wouldn't sleep. I don't think anybody would sleep, but I would love to just walk around it. Because even with all the ghosts and stories, it's still a real pretty building. Like the hospital is beautiful. I mean, people wouldn't think it's abandoned if you've seen pictures of it and you're like, Kelly's crazy. But I think it's really pretty. The architecture of it. And the story behind it is really sad because of the tuberculosis cases, and there's been a lot of people die there. So that part obviously is horrible. But the actual building is just so, I think it's pretty. It's just grand. They have these big gargoyles that look down on everything. They're actually turning it into a hotel. So the whole point of the tours is to raise enough money for renovations to make it a hotel. So yeah, that I want to go definitely again before they get far into it, and I would love to spend the night and do that part. It would be really neat. There's a lot of creepy stuff there.
I have seen different ghost tour groups, like Ghost Adventures and things like that, go there. And yeah.
Yeah. There's Timmy on the 3rd floor. He's the little boy with the ball. I thought when we were in there, the 3rd floor is very dark. And I was there with my 2 sisters and my oldest daughter. And she was 14. And I thought she was standing next to me. And because I kept feeling, her holding my arm, and I didn't know why she's holding my arm. And come find out, I looked, and she had white on her shirt, and I could see her further away from me than I was. And I was like, okay, here we go. Yeah.
He wanted to hold your hand.
He did. The 1st floor is really creepy because, of course, that's where the morgue is, and that's where the body chute is. And they have I didn't know this, but you could get a TB in your brain. And they had I don't think it was a lobotomy room, but it was like a brain surgery room. It might have been a lobotomy room, sure. But it was just like it was just strange. Just the room. And you walked in and you'd be like, okay, it felt weird. But then when they told you what the room was, you're like, oh my gosh. So it's a very, I mean, it was a great hospital. It did great things. And I know people were very, lucky to have it. And it's very interesting to walk through.
It sounds like it would be amazing.
Oh, yes.
It would be awesome to go on a tour. I don't know if I could stay overnight. If I were with the right people that I felt safe with and somebody was going to let me hold their hand all night, I think I probably would, because I'm interested and I would want to have those experiences, or at least I think I do. But
well, if you get too scared, the second floor, well, I think it's more than the second floor, but the second floor you can go out on. Part of the prescriptions was that the patients had to spend so many hours outside. So they have these huge, they're not balconies, but they're outside rooms pretty much. And it's airy. And I thought, okay, if I freaked out, I can just stay out there for a while. So you have places you can go. You can go up on the roof. The roof is really pretty. And you can look out over Louisville, and you can look at Gargles if you get, too scared. Now, the problem would be if you got separated from your group or separated from the person you were there with.
In a corner, and I wouldn't even know I was there, because I would shrink into a tiny ball and I would barely be breathing so that I could listen to what was going on around me.
Yeah. I don't think I'd want to hear what was going on around me.
Just going up to an old abandoned house and somebody saying, hey, this is a haunted house and here's the story, and walking in and around wouldn't bother me. But having seen so many ghost shows and read so much about that sanatorium, that hospital, that I would be so freaked out beforehand. I think that there would be so much mental going on,
You get yourself psyched up for it. Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Well, let's dive in and talk about some of your books. Who's your favorite character that you've written?
Heart.
What's your favorite book or series that you've written?
Oh, gosh. I love them all for different reasons. I love Crossing the Deep because it was my first book, and Heartless because Heart's in it. If you were to ever read Heartless, you would think that's weird. Why would you like Heart? But once you get through the series.
Yes, that is the first book. I actually got the audio book of Heartless, and that was how I first got introduced to you in your books. And then I started following you, and then I read like one book here and one book there, and then I just decided, okay,
that you were my best friend.
Yes, I did. It was.
If you read Heartless and decided to still be my best friend, I think that we're soulmates.
I read that, and then I started, when I, started following your page and all that. And I think you and I had this conversation once before when you were on the show, that it was so weird knowing your religious beliefs, your family, your background, and all that, that you wrote that book. Because Heartless is, oh my gosh.
I had people coming up to me. Heartless is not bad, but there's a bad character in it who has thoughts, very bad thoughts. And I've had people come up to me and be like, are you okay? I'm like, I'm fine. I didn't say it. He did. They're like, it came out of your head. He's a bad guy. You can't have your bad guy saying good things. That's weird.
I think he's probably, it's crazy because as the series progresses, he becomes your favorite character.
Oh,
Most
yeah.
people that read it will come back and say, hey, he turned out to be my favorite character. But in book one, he's very twisted and dark. And the torture and the things that he does, it's just like, holy crap, how twisted is Kelly's mind?
Oh, God. I know. Well, there's a reason he does all that. Well, I can't get into why because you find out in the book, but he thinks that he's doing the right thing. And I think I love characters who think they're doing the right thing, even if the right thing isn't what other people would think would be the right thing. He's a villain in the very first book, to be honest.
Oh,
But
yes.
he thinks he's doing the right thing. And those are my absolute favorite types of villains. That if you told the story from their point of view, they would think at least that they would be the good guys.
It's an amazing series of angels and demons and good versus evil, and there is no black and white line between any of it. There is only gray, and I think that it's the mark of an amazing writer when they can take such a dark and twisted and hateful individual and turn that character around and make you just absolutely fall in love with them.
Right? I don't know about the writer part, but yeah, that's why I think it's so weird when people ask me who my favorite character is, and I'm like, well, his heart. And I'm like, but, it's so funny if you read it, especially the first one. By the time you get to by the time you get to like the last book, you're like, oh, but it takes a while to get there. I mean, once you understand his issue.
And there's even a novella in the series, which that is the only part of the series that I have not read. But there is a novella that comes back and gives you his backstory and everything as well.
Yeah. It gives a lot of. I can't say too much because it gives big spoilers, but there's a reason he thought what he thought, and there's a reason he thought what he was doing was right or the thing to do. He was trying to do something else that he thought was right.
So just to give you guys a little bit of information on the series, I've got all the covers because, yeah, that's how I roll. That's how I stalk. I don't have them all saved and did a little icon for them. But if you're following on the Two Girls page, when I popped up the cover, it also popped over into the comments and gave you guys a link to the series. So if you're interested in the Heartless series, just to give you a little bit of information on book one, and just an FYI, all of these books are available in this series in Kindle Unlimited. So make sure you can check them out there and read for free, or you can snag an ebook from there as well, or you can go to kellymortonbooks.com.
Exactly.
So, some things can't be saved. What would you do if your guardian angel wasn't sent to protect you from the world, but to protect the world from you? For 13 years, Grayson Sullivan dreamed about a red-eyed demon named Hart Blackwell, who tortured her every night. Y'all, it's fierce, that torture. Let me tell you, it is fierce.
Well, the first line is, where is it? The first line is Jessup Hart Blackwell ate my brain every night.
Yeah. He also
Which is the best
liver
line.
And my kidneys.
Right? This is the best line ever to an epic romance.
And the audiobook, she has the sweetest Southern accent. It just fit her perfectly. I loved it. And as I read all the other books in the series, the narrator, who I am drawing a blank on her name, her voice was in my head for the entire series after that.
Yeah, I wish she could have narrated the rest of the series, but it just fell through. It didn't work.
Well, that happens, but it was an amazing series, and you guys should definitely check it out. Moving on to another of the series, there we go, Dark and Deadly Things. Again, if you check over in the comments, there should be a link to the entire series for Amazon, and you can get it on Kindle Unlimited as well.
And the very first book, Dark and Deadly Things, was on BookBub's top 12 books that their readers were loving. And I think it's the only self-published book on the whole list.
That is amazing. I checked out that list, and I was just in awe over the fact that it had made it on there. And it is a really great series. I talked about in my review if the characters in the book reminded me of the real life Warrens, and if people didn't know who that was, then they couldn't be my friend. It's like supernatural, and it's just they're searching houses. They're trying to figure out what happened to her mom and dad, as well as what's his name? Her name's Elise.
Abel.
Yes, Abel. They're trying to find out what happened to his family as well. And her parents, they actually filmed their own supernatural show and everything, and they are faking a lot of it, but it turns out, there's so much going on out there that they didn't have to fake it. But it's just a really good series if you like the supernatural television show. Again, if you've seen like The Conjuring or Annabelle, then you know who the Warrens are, so it kind of had that vibe to it as well. And there's a little bit of budding romance there as well, and I just liked how their dynamic changed between Abel and Elise from book to book, and it was an awesome series, and I flew right through it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, the idea for that one came from, I'm sure you watched the old Ghost Hunter show.
Mm-hmm.
And then they would go to these houses or wherever, and they would catch these horrible or like mean sounding EVPs. And then when they would tell the clients, they would be like, well, we don't think they have any malicious intent. And I was like, well, what if they do? And that whole series started but what if they do?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they have any malicious intent. I watched one episode, and the EVP literally had this like guy growling, "Get out!" And Jason was like, "I don't think Jay was like, I don't think he has any malicious intent." Okay, so that's where this came from. Is what if? And then of course other stuff got added to it with the other things, Molly especially. But yeah, that's where it started. Was what if? Who are you to say they don't have malicious intent? Don't tell me what my intent is.
I am looking for a book. Well, I know it's here. Oh, there it is. Sorry. I had a system, and I started on the different series than what I intended to, so it threw my system off.
Oh, the Never series.
The Never Kiss the Dead series. This series just recently finished up, and I'm still undecided if I like the ending or not. And I noticed when I looked at other people's reviews, a lot of people felt that same way. And it's not like it didn't get resolved or anything. I think we just had a different idea in mind of what we thought her happy ever after was going to be. And I get why it ended the way that it did, and she still got her happily ever after. It just wasn't in the direction that I think any of the readers thought that it was going to go.
I think she got her happily ever after, but the readers might not have got their happily ever after. And I mean, she still has things. People are still around.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
it just wasn't what we expected it to be.
No. Well, I did that because Heartless series ended very definitely. Like there was a definite end point to that series. And I didn't want to, and it always made me sad because I have always, since I finished that series, wanted to write more of their story, but I couldn't because it finished. Like it definitely ended. So when I got to the end of the Never series, I was like, or Never Love an Angel, I was like, okay, I don't really want to do that definite ending again. I want to have something where if in a few years I miss them like I miss Heart, or miss them like I miss The People in Trinity Row, or any other book that has a definite ending, then I can go back and we can visit the characters and see where they're at in their life and, you know, see what's going on. So there may be a reason for that ending.
Good. I feel better about it now.
Oh, by the way, I ran a poll on Instagram and my newsletter and on my Facebook page about which book they wanted to be free. It was a choice between Heartless, Never Kiss the, no, it's not. Never Kiss the Dead, and Dark and Deadly Things. And I've not announced who the winner is. Would you like me to announce it here?
I would love for you to announce.
The book that you guys voted for, well over 100 votes, which floored me, is about 150, between 150 and 200 votes. I can't remember off the top of my head. People voted, so thank you so much for voting. And the top vote getter is going to be free on Halloween, and that book is Never Kiss the Dead.
Yay! I voted
so
for
Never Kiss. Never Kiss the Dead will be free on Halloween, and I added some extra days to it. I padded it, so it's going to be free for 5 days, but especially free on Halloween. So that's my treat for everybody. Because I know this Halloween is really strange. So.
For those who aren't familiar with the series, Never Kiss the Dead is the full-length novel, and then the 3 books that follow afterwards are actually novellas. Are they still 99 cents?
Yes, they're still 99 cents.
Well, that's fantastic because you guys can grab the full-length novel for free, and then you can either read the other books in Kindle Unlimited for free, or you can snag 4 books basically for $3. So awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Okay. We're not quite done because you do a lot of writing.
Oh, are you going through all of them? Oh my God.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Oh my God.
I'm not done. I have not read this one yet, but I do own it. I think this one's just paranormal, not necessarily scary.
Yeah, it's paranormal. That was, well, I don't know. That was the book that scared my mama the most out of any of them she's ever read. But there's one scene. There's a girl in a casket, and it made her claustrophobic when she read it. So yeah, that one. That's my very first paranormal book. Oh, that came out in 2013, so it's been longer than 5 years. Yeah, 2013 is when it came out.
Yeah, the tagline on it says, "She died for love," or so she thought.
Yeah. Yeah, that one goes back and forth between the Civil War and present day. This guy named Shane, he is kind of a rebel, and he's mad for some reason. I can't remember exactly right offhand, right? It's been a while. But I know why. His parents were getting divorced, and he was mad at them. So he didn't believe in love, so he went to burn down the church where they got married.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know it was an abandoned church. Didn't know that this girl was buried in the basement, and she died during the Civil War, only she didn't die. Something happened and she couldn't die. And so he heard her screaming. He got her out. And it was a cool thing between the girl from the past, learning all the new future stuff. Then you go back to her time and you see why she did what she did, and all this cool stuff mixed in between. So, Yep. Aww.
I bought it just because it had your name on it. I honestly had no idea what that one was about.
I love that book. I love that book.
You probably remember, but it was last year in 2019. You had gone to Roanoke, and I didn't make it that year. So I messaged you after the fact, and I'm like, I need a copy of everything. And you're like, you want everything?
It was like 13 books or something.
I want it all. It ended up being like $120, $150 or whatever. I was like, I'm going to need to PayPal you like every couple of weeks when I get paid. Just ship them to me when I'm done. But yes, I want everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I did this whole one of everything that I had.
And everything. Yeah, my husband was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
So now whenever I mention your name, he's like, that's that Kelly girl you love so much, isn't it? I'm like, yeah.
Aww. That's so sweet.
Now, I haven't read this one either, but I thought I would pull it and try to get to it this weekend because it's not super long. But the premise sounds really good. I actually have the original cover.
I love that cover.
And I know at one time you had said that this was being updated for the ebook, but you hadn't done it in print yet.
No, I don't think I'm going to change it in print because I like that cover. I think this one works better in ebook, and I think that one works better in print. So, I don't think I'm going to update it.
I love both of them. So, in the event that you do update it, I'll be snagging that one as well. But yeah, I was reading about this one a little bit, and I thought, oh, this is the perfect time of the year to grab this one and read it. So I needed to pull that out of my stack, and it's probably on my Kindle too. So I don't have to worry about keeping the husband up tonight when I die.
That's probably the twistiest one I've ever written.
Awesome.
There's a guy, and he wakes up in front of this old house. It's not abandoned. In front of this old house, and he goes inside, and there's a girl named Valley in there, and she thinks she owns the house, and this other lady says she owns the house, and they're all kind of confused, and there's a phone in a closet under the stairs. And when the phone rings, the older lady, she tells them not to answer it. That's the only thing they know is don't answer the phone. There you go. Don't answer the phone.
Now, for those who don't know, you are both independently and traditionally published.
Yes, ma'am.
So, moving right along, you have 2 books with Monster Ivy Publishing. Trinity Row is absolutely stunning if you guys can get it in hardback. And what I love, what I think is the true signature of an amazing, scary story is when you look at the back where the blurb should be, and there's like a sentence. That's all you get is a sentence.
That's all you need.
It says Trinity Row is the house that wouldn't die. Local legend isn't wrong. I mean, hello.
Beverly, go on, honey. You can't do that yet. Everybody's going to do her homework. Yes, Kami did that. She's the cover designer. and co-owner of Monster Ivy, and she's amazing. She does amazing covers. That cover actually won Best Cover at the Once Upon a Book Awards this year.
Yes, it did.
And
I love this cover. It's gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
And on the back, I don't know how well you guys can see it, but the house is included here as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then
it's pretty on your shelf.
It's, oh yes. And then I'm always backwards from the camera, but it does include the blurb and everything on the jacket. So, and there's Kelly. So yeah, it's a gorgeous book inside and out. I actually won the Monster Ivy Publishing book box for this one. So I have the one that had the bright black edges.
You have the black ones.
I have the character art as well. So yeah, I have all that too.
Oh,
I know. We have one more book, guys, because Kelly's awesome. And I had to show everything. I couldn't pick just one. So, What Rachel Did is your middle grade horror.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, if you can get this one in a print copy as well, I highly recommend it. This book is so pretty on the inside. The formatting is gorgeous on this one.
It's so pretty. I opened it up. I didn't know it was in there, and I opened it up, and I was like, oh!
I know. It is stunning. I love it. It is such a pretty book. And
Tammy did it too. Tammy's amazing.
I have the print that came along with that one as well. The eerie stairs.
Mm-hmm.
So cool. And I even have a little note from Kelly. I won the book box for this one as well, because they can always tell when I'm interested, because I share religiously. I tell other people about it, but I tell them they're not allowed to enter the giveaway because it's mine. So I actually won both of your books from them, and then I bought a copy too and gifted it, the hardback, to Melanie Gilbert. She's a fan of yours as well. So super excited. So if any of you guys have kids who like something scary, or honestly adults can read What Rachel Did, because it's good. It's really good. I especially love The Attic, because you can't have a ghost story or a haunted house story without something happening in an attic, a basement, or cellar. So
with a mirror.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Kelly has this thing about mirrors. If you're ever reading one of her books and there's a mention of a mirror, be fully prepared for something creepy to happen at any minute.
Well, mirrors are creepy. Oh, speaking of mirrors, my new book with Monster Ivy is coming out in March of next year, and it's a middle grade horror book too, and it's called Fake Nora. And I can't show the cover yet, but I've seen the cover. And if you love this cover, oh my gosh. I
have told Mary that What Rachel Did needs to be on a t-shirt, and I need to have it.
It would be pretty on a t-shirt.
Yes, I love this. I love the book. I love the cover. And it's so cute and creepy. Like, it kind of has a Wednesday Addams vibe to it.
Yes. Yes.
Love it.
I can see that.
Love it. Okay, we have talked about everything, I think, horror related or paranormal related that you have written. For those who don't know, you do write sweet romances under Marty K.
Yeah, Marty K.
Okay, so if anyone's interested in that, that's not what we're talking about here tonight.
I don't have as many books of those.
But if you're interested, you can check those out as well. And this isn't everything that you've written, obviously, but just a cute little synopsis of some of the good horror things and paranormal things that you have going out there. I've seen some questions popping in, so I'm going to get to those as well. Thank you guys so much for being patient and hanging out with us this evening. I know this has gone longer than normal, but
I'm
Kelly is
long-winded. I'm
amazing.
sorry.
And as the Queen of Horror, we had a lot to talk about. So I'm going to jump over here and see what questions we have from you guys. I saw one pop in from Jody. Jody wants to know, what is your main inspiration? I think the overlay's covering up a little bit there, but that's what her question is. What's your main inspiration?
I think the thing about horror especially is that it needs, or horror is really easy in the way that you deal with emotions, how you internalize emotions, but you put it outward. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying it. I'm like, yeah, it's really easy. This is all you do. You're like, horror is a way, like, I deal with a lot of anxiety. So I have a character in Trinity Rowe. She has anxiety. So a lot of her internal or external conflict has to do with her internal issues too.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that part of horror where you can externalize things that are happening internally. And I think horror is a great way to do that, because we're all scared of something, and there's usually a psychological reason why you're scared of something. And so that's why I like horror. For inspiration, it can come from a Pinterest picture. It can come from a what if. It can come from watching Ghost Hunters and being like, that ghost will suffocate you at night. They're not, they have malicious intent. Basically it comes from different situations, different, just wherever it pops in your mind. Or Heartless came from an argument I had with my husband. So
Really?
Yeah, we had an argument and he said something about Heartless, and I was like I just stopped and I was like, that's a perfect name for a book. And it spawned a series, and inspiration comes from anywhere, from many places.
See, you were thinking title, and my first thought was Kelly on the table or was her husband on the table?
It can go either way. It can go either way.
If you guys have read the book, then you understand why that was the first thing I thought of, because that's such a traumatic part of the book.
Heart is not based on him.
We have Mindy with us. She's excited to see you, and she loves her some Kelly Martin as well.
Hello, Mindy.
If anyone else has posted to the Two Girls in a Book page, it's not showing up in my live feed, but I will pop over to the page in just a moment and check it as well. We have Cammie Larson of Monster Ivy Publishing watching. Thank you so much.
Who made the covers.
We have Joe Cassidy with us as well. We've been talking about her tonight. The Willow Marsh and Good Girls Stay Quiet. Brandy Nicole, another great paranormal author, is with us tonight. She says she stayed at the Myrtles in Louisiana. I'm guessing that's a haunted place.
Oh, the Myrtles Plantation. Whoa. That's like one of the most haunted, supposedly one of the most haunted places ever.
I'm going to write this down. I got to Google that.
Yeah, there's a ghost there. I think it's the one that's named Chloe, which is my daughter's name, which I think is interesting. But yeah. I don't know for sure. For some reason, there's a fact in my brain that I think they filmed Interview with the Vampire over there, but I could be wrong.
Oh.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But anyway, but yeah, that's a big haunted place. Wow, Brandy, you are very brave.
Jana Ward has joined us tonight too. Jana has her own page on Etsy and on Facebook called Sassy Jays, and she does tumblers and blankets and all kinds of goodies. So if you guys are looking for Christmas gifts, make sure you check her out. I actually just ordered a gift earlier this week and got it today from her, and I love it. Was very tempted to keep it for myself, but I did buy it for someone else. So I put it back in the box, and she had it nice and neatly wrapped in tissue paper and everything. So I didn't have to do anything. I'm just going to seal that box back up and wrap it and be good to go. So very excited for that. Gonna check the Two Girls in a Book page just to make sure we haven't missed any other comments or anything coming through. I love this app because I'm able to upload links and covers and do all this great stuff with it. But some of the other features that are supposed to work, it's just, you never know when something's going to work with them.
But the background is pretty. I don't think you can do that on StreamYard, can you? Can you?
I looked at StreamYard and it didn't work for anything that I needed. BeLive is, if you're not doing tons of videos, you can get the live, the free BeLive version, but I do at least one a week, and I think they only cover you up to 3. And of course, there's other features you can get with the other option if you pay for the plan, but everything doesn't always work. And they're doing something new now where you can stream to YouTube and Facebook Live at the same time, or you can do to 2 Facebook pages at a time, as long as one of them is your main page and the other one is a page that you've created or that you own or that you admin on as well. So like when I have Elizabeth Kirk come on, I admin on her author page, so I'm able to stream to my page and her author page at the same time. So there's added little features and things like that. It's just everything on here doesn't work like it's supposed to. A cool thing that they recently added, when I pop a cover up on the screen, I've already pre-attached your buy link to it. So it automatically, in my comments on my Two Girls in a Book page, it automatically in the comments posts the link. So each one of your books that I shared tonight, it put a link over there for people to buy it. So it's instantaneous. Whereas before I was having to remind them to go to a website or go to my blog page and putting it all there. I'm still putting it there, but I'm also able now to link it all to the cover that I show or to the graphic that I show. So it's got a lot of really cool features, but everything just doesn't always work.
Right.
If everything worked, it would be fantastic. But
once they figure all that out,
product out there for what I'm doing, so it is what it is. But I think we got to all of the questions and comments that we had. If you guys come back and see this after the fact, because it will be up on the page, once it gets downloaded into my system, I will be uploading it to YouTube as well. So make sure, if you want to be notified of new videos, or if you're on Facebook and you want to be notified when we go live, then make sure you hit the little bell so that you can get your notifications, and I can subscribe on YouTube as well. I had an absolute blast with you and talking about all of your amazing books. Thank you so much for humoring me and coming on here and letting me gush.
Thank you for asking.
Absolutely. Is there anything coming out from you before the next release that you have in March with Monster Ivy Publishing?
As far as I know, no. But that can always change.
Well, I will definitely be looking for an arc of that so that I can read and be prepared. And you should go ahead and pencil it in on your calendar that you're going to be back in March so we can talk about that new book.
I would love to. I will put that down.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys again for joining me for a special edition of Fangirl Thursday, my spectacular reads with the Queen of Horror, our very own sweet little Kelly Martin.
Thank you.
I had a blast chatting with you tonight. I will see you guys next week.
Bye.